All right, everyone. The other day, of course, I had to report on the gag order that was slapped on Trump pertinent to the Jack Smith case against him, specifically by Judge Chutkan. It's unconstitutional. I know that there's apologism saying, no, technically kind of sort of, there's judicial latitude with regards to this. Okay. That's because our understanding of the role of the judiciary has veered off wildly from reality. Some elements of the original U.S. constitutionalist movement, the concept of the separation of powers, the concept of the First Amendment, the concept of the right to privacy. Why do you think that so many of the First Amendments in the U.S. Constitution deal with judicial proceedings? Right to fair, speedy public trial, and so forth. Why is it lopsidedly towards that as opposed to a muzzling of the executive branch or something like that? Why is it most expansively limiting on the judiciary? Let's put our history caps on today. It's because the judiciary, over in jolly England, was the most abusive. It wasn't the king. It wasn't even Parliament, although they definitely had grievances with both of them. One of the long-standing problems was that judges were sympathetic towards an archaic and ingrained system and were wanton, abusive, and frequently mistreated people. The judiciary, fundamentally, they're the ones that put you on trial. Parliament passed a law and you got wheeled in because they created the law, but it was the magistrate that abused you. It was the magistrate that effectively enforced it and then threw you in the dungeon. They muzzled the judiciary more for a reason when they founded the United States. Courts were not supposed to be able to act in this manner. The gag order, if it had simply said Trump is not allowed to disparage the court, that would be more normal. So Donald Trump is not allowed to say that Chutkan is an enemy of the people and denigrate the court. While this is, again, sort of that formal, archaic thing, it was one that was more properly legally maintained. The decorum of the court. How dare you disgrace us? Because people won't trust our judicial proceedings if people constantly mouth off about our bias. Now, of course, there might be a reason why so many people are mouthing off about your bias. That issue remains unaddressed, but at the same time, that would be more nominal. When you, however, say, and he's not allowed to criticize the prosecutor or any of the prosecution's ongoing proceedings or any of the staff working with the prosecution, that's a little bit hammer-handed now, isn't it? You're not allowed to publicly criticize the person who's actively attempting to put you away in prison for the rest of your life on numerous charges, felony charges. That seems a little bit odd to me that a court is permitted to do so. Honestly, a higher court should step in at this point and supersede it. In the meantime, though, link in the description archived, of course, there's a wonderful suggestion that was made in this article. And I happen to believe that it may be sort of Trump's, nuclear option. He could always choose to actively violate the gag order. So not try to skirt it, not run up kind of against it, not wheedle the judge or the prosecution in the case, causing them to have a conniption fit, but brazenly violate it. Brazenly release a statement, preferably on Twitter so more people will actually see it, by the way. The Biden campaign's on Truth Social. It's definitely the harbinger of doom there. Go on Twitter and brazenly insult Jack Smith and Judge Chutkan, the court proceedings, etc., and force their hand. Nothing could rip the bandage off more and show more people within the public about the lopsided system the way that it is and the naked election interference that's going on with Indictment Gate than having Trump remanded into custody. Having him literally pulled off the campaign trail and sitting in a jail cell while the judge berates him. That would be quite telling, I think, to people. A fairly large proportion of the population thinks that Trump is just getting equal justice and he's trying to flaunt the justice system and he's not being treated differently, so he's having a Trumper tantrum. But another significant portion of the population believes that this is all a witch hunt and that it's designed to persecute him politically. Of course, I fall into that latter group because I have common sense. There's also an undecided group in the middle. There's a large plurality of Americans that think that Trump did something wrong but shouldn't really be punished for it. There's a group of people that think that he didn't do anything wrong but should be punished anyway. In polling, that group somehow exists. There are people who think that he broke the law but that he shouldn't be put in prison or anything like that because it would just be bad for the republic. There's a lot of people that are in that sort of middle ground, or they're fully undecided. I don't know, I don't care. The proceedings may be wonky, but so is Trump, or maybe they have no problem with him and they have no problem with the court proceedings. That's quite a few Americans. By doing this, if he brazenly violates the gag order, effectively saying, I consider this legally null and void, you ain't allowed to do that, and possibly pending some sort of appeal to a higher court in order to get it struck down as against his First Amendment rights, or against the right of the people to enjoy a proper election season, because when you have a front-running presumptive nominee constantly going to court all the time instead of being able to campaign like a normal person while shelling out half the money he's making in campaign donations in order to just stay above water at this point, again, the whole thing is a little bit beyond. The system crossed the Rubicon when they charged him in the first place. It therefore became unsurprising to me when more charges were forthcoming, because now the whole goal is to go all in and prevent him from campaigning, prevent him from speaking now as well. Yeah, no, Trump can say acerbic things when he's cornered. Really? I never would have guessed that he would lash out at a prosecutor seeking, multiple effective life sentences for him on dozens of different felony charges. No, he might not think fondly about that individual. Normally, the gag order would be because the decorum of the court is being attacked, not because you're criticizing the prosecution. Normally, you're allowed to criticize the prosecutor. Trump hasn't said anything threatening, etc., although they constantly try to spin it as he having done so in the legacy media. You'll notice that the spin cycle is definitely on 100% at the moment. Trump should just violate the gag order. They're going to probably try to put you in jail ahead of trial anyway. You might as well just take the first shot, force their hand. They'll do it. They will put you in a jail cell, and the American people will get to see someone who's charged with entirely non-violent crimes, many of which are bullshit or artificially upgraded misdemeanors, in cuffs, with the full rigmarole, the armed cops and the cuffs and everything else, the 4 a.m. raid maybe or something. And then Chutkin will berate you and put you in a jail cell or remand you into house arrest, more likely at the Mar-a-Lago or Trump Tower, because the whole Secret Service detail issue has not been legally figured out by people. And the American people will get to see the whole farce for exactly what it is. The jailing of a political opponent beyond the charging. So you've already had the indictment go on. You've already got the court cases beginning with their formal preceding arguments and so forth. But to actually imprison, at your house or otherwise, a political opponent, when the current sitting president, of course, is Joe Biden, so, asterisk, he's an unelected steward, but he's the acting president, would, I think, shock a lot of people. And if indictment gate and its effect on polling is any indicator, it would actually make Trump more popular. Yeah, legally speaking, it's a tenuous position to take. Of course, you don't generally want to piss off the judge in your case. But politically speaking, strategy-wise, yeah, I think that it's probably the best case scenario for the Trump campaign. Let the wolves continue to howl, effectively force them to remand you into custody, to drag you through proceedings, and to continue pretending that their case is totally normal and above board and we're doing nothing wrong. We've investigated ourselves and found ourselves blameless. Let them do that, and then let the people of the United States decide which side they're on. That's about all. Peace out.